Thank you for viewing this presentation on RFID technology in healthcare. I'm Philip McNamara. According to the Institute of Medicine, as many as 98,000 Americans die annually due to medical errors, with preventable medical errors costing society an estimated $29 billion a year. The state of the industry is reluctant to change and slow to adopt new methods because of traditional mindsets and the historically high startup costs. One relatively new aspect of technology involves the use of radio frequency electromagnetic fields to remotely transfer data from a tag attached to an object for the purposes of automatically tracking, identifying, or monitoring those objects. The Journal of Healthcare Management stated that healthcare RFID adoption is in an early stage, with over 25 million RFID tags supplied to healthcare institutions in 2008 and expected to grow at 6%. The cost of implementing these RFID tags has been dramatically declining, so their usage in healthcare can be substantially reduced costs associated with everything from supply chain, order cycle activities, to malpractice insurance. The technology was first used in World War II. Radar was developed in 1935. Was used by air traffic controllers as a means to identify incoming airplanes. The Germans discovered that if pilots rolled their planes slightly when they arrived at the base, the maneuver would change the radio frequency signal sent back, and they could distinguish between German planes or Allied planes, the enemy or whatnot. This rudimentary system was the first use of a passive RFID system. As the technology has evolved over the last half century, two main factors have given way to the advancements of the technology. Our current computing ability, which is massive and can handle the vast amounts of data that RFID tags can transmit, and then just manufacturing techniques have evolved to be able to produce the RFID tags and antennas and readers all at an economical level. RFID systems are currently used in many industries such as manufacturing, retail, government, defense, aerospace, logistics, to cattle ranching. They're also in personal items like in pet animals, and even U.S. passports now contain RFID tags. The Department of Defense mandated that certain high-value military equipment and weapon products contain RFID tags, and then Walmart also began requiring its top 100 suppliers to have tags in all their shipments back in 2005. And these two major organizations have really spurred the growth and development of RFID technology. There was a rumor that Obamacare required all citizens to have RFID chips implanted under their skin, which is false. There was in the healthcare reform, there's a first bill that suggested that a national registry be created to cover all Class 2 implantable medical devices, which include everything from RFID chips to pacemakers to dental implants, bone conduction hearing aids and whatnot. But the law was never passed, basically, so nobody has to worry about that. In order for RFID technology to be fully utilized, the system is used that consists of tags, readers, antennas, and an information system. Tags store the data and can also transmit it remotely. There are several different forms of tags. You have passive tags that will be activated to broadcast data once they are within the electromagnetic field of the reader's antenna. Active tags carry their own power source and broadcast their own signals to communicate with the readers. And semi-passive tags contain a small battery for logging data. Passive tags can be used from everything from drug labels to patient wristbands, Um, active tags are more dynamic, and they can be used for expensive equipment or even personnel that move around from place to place. Of course, an alternative to RFID tags is the barcode system. Both have similar functions with a unique number assigned to an object or a patient to help identify them. While barcode systems are cheap, they lack in flexibility. They're printed on paper and they can get wrinkled or skewed. And the biggest downfall of barcoding is the reliance on the line of sight readability. You have to be in the area. You cannot remotely transfer barcode data to a reader. And in a healthcare setting, the line of sight readability is not always an option. For instance, in the surgical room, they go through a long process of sterilizing everything. And then if a nurse needs to come in at some point and read the patient's wristband, they can't necessarily get in there and do everything. It'll ruin the whole process. As far as human management and the use of RFID, there's a thing called smart cards. They're personal identification and basically passive tags that emit a signal when the user is in range of the reader's antenna. In all healthcare facilities, access to certain areas is restricted. These cards will allow access to certain areas per who is wearing them and where they can go and can't go. They also can be used for patient wristbands. We talked about earlier, that can alert staff if a patient is not in an area they should be, or they're going into an area they should not be. They can also be used to successfully match newborns with their mothers and eliminate the nightmare problems of wrong patient-child matches. And then monitor temperature control and other quality control aspects. A lot of prescription drugs and sensitive materials need to be stored at certain temperatures, where RFID tags can alert staff when errors happen. Drug administration. RFID tags can be incorporated into the label of drug containers, help to match the correct patient to the needed drug, the correct dosage, everything, and put that all together on the information system and that patient's EHR record and whatnot. It helps reduce counterfeiting drugs, which is a massive problem nowadays. The World Health Organization estimated that 1 to 2% of drugs in North America are fraudulent. According to the FDA, the number of fraudulent drug interceptions by U.S. Customs doubled between the years of 2004 and 2005. There's just a greater demand for cheaper drugs as the world's in a recession, and so people get more desperate and don't really care about the source of where they're buying those drugs and suffer the consequences sometimes. So the FDA determined in 2005 that RFID technology, along with other measures, will help combat this issue. The use of mass serialization to uniquely identify all drug products intended for use is a very powerful tool. Currently appears that technology most likely to bring mass serialization into widespread commercial use by the pharmaceutical industry is RFID. Drug companies have taken note and have implemented a lot of those systems to help maintain their product image and keep counterfeit products out of the market. Also, they use tamper-evident packaging and unit-for-use packaging, which helps eliminate the repackaging process where a lot of errors can happen. As far as asset management, currently Stuff is tracked mainly by writing on a whiteboard or entering it into an EHR record system, which allows for a lot of human error. A major research and consulting firm, Frost & Sullivan's, estimated that 5% to 15% of hospital inventory is written off each year because it can't be located. Simply not finding stuff causes a lot of costs to be incurred from wasted time looking for it. Other than that, some stuff does get thrown away, like small medical devices will get wrapped up in dirty bed linens and sent through the washer and ruined. The RFID will also help in automatic reordering of products for nursing stations or other office supplies and whatnot. As each item has a tag on it and is currently updated to the information system, it can tell you exactly the inventory on hand and even be reordered when it gets to a certain minimum level. And then patient throughput, as patients have RFID wristbands on, there can be a reader set up in the X-ray department or whatever department that will time how long they sit in the waiting room, how long they get the whole process done, and when they get thrown out. The risks, I have initial cost is moderate, but as more people are adopting RFID, not just in the healthcare but in the whole wide world, cost will decrease, so it's a moderate risk. Privacy is low. May have heard Walmart uses a lot of RFID tags, and the media picked a hold of that and scared everybody, and by saying that Walmart was tracking where you're going and what you're doing by simply having a tag on your t-shirt. That's simply not true. They're passive tags. They're not active, and they don't constantly transmit information. Supplier buy-in is moderately high. Getting everybody along the supply chain to buy in to implementing the RFID technology could pose some issues, because there's currently no mandates for it, but long-term costs, benefits outweigh the initial costs. And interoperability is very low. It runs on almost any system. The future of RFID technology looks very bright. It's already seen a large expansion in the commercial and defense industries. I think the healthcare industry is just slightly lagging behind, as healthcare costs are a main issue facing our nation. That cost may limit the implementation, but long-term cost will be realized. The RFID Journal, which is an online website, stated in 2010 that the 155 million that healthcare providers spent worldwide on RFID in 2009 is forecast to more than double to 326 million by 2014, according to a research forum. So it's definitely coming. Basically, the adoption of RFID technology in U.S. healthcare sector will result in a decrease in operational expenses by the healthcare provider and an overall increase in the quality of care for patients.